People expect this is going to be like paradise here, like, and it's really not. Be sure you understand how retirement works in your home country, where you come from. Different countries have different laws about how to get your money. Your passport has to be surrendered. They've never asked for proof of income, or many of the other countries, it's just not this easy. And here, the pro is that they don't care. I mean, you just go as often as you want wherever. Khmer people are just different. They're just different people. If you like just eating Cambodian food, they buy pretty cheap. Like I did this check one time on Google. I just said, how much for a really nice life in Cambodia? How much would it cost? And it said $2,000 a month, and you'd have a wonderful life. I think I would have barely been able to live back home on what I make. But when you factor in that most Cambodian people make 10% of that,
Okay.
Well, I don't spend much. My wife spends some. Yeah, my wife tells me my job is to walk and drink coffee every day. So that's what I do.
Meet Mike, an American who has been retired in Cambodia for the past 3 years. In today's conversation, he shares the visa process, the lifestyle, how much he spent monthly, and how Cambodia went from being his plan B to becoming his home forever.
You are retired.
Yeah, I'm currently retired, have a retirement visa.
Can I ask, why do you choose to retire in Cambodia?
Well, why?
Why, yeah.
Well, I never really did at first. I think the thing when I first came was I wanted a place to, like a plan B that had a good visa. A friend of mine told me in Vietnam, he said, you always should have a plan B. Always have a place you can go back to that you can get into here, right? So Cambodia with the retirement visa, he just told me, he said, if you get one of those in Phnom Penh, you don't have to stay there. You just get it and then you leave again, right? But you'll always have it. So when I came back in 2022, I thought, well, I'm getting older. I want to slow down. I don't want to go every 3 months or every month. And it became difficult, right? It was just like, it's something else I have to just think of. What am I going to do in 3 months in Vietnam to go, right? Or in a month or whatever. And then, it wasn't soon after I met my wife. And I was like, well, there's that decision, right? And it's like, well, now I'm not going to leave because I've got someone here. And it really wasn't a hard transition to say, I'm only going to come back and stay for a month or so, or I'm just going to live in Siem Reap, because I've always really loved this city to live in, just because of the river and the restaurants and all the things. So it was really an easy choice to retire here. And all the time I've been getting them has never really changed the process. If you're over 55 years, it's been the same process since 2018, since I first came. Very easy process for people. Nothing like what you hear in Thailand or the Philippines. So I think they've purposefully tried to make it approachable and reasonable for people who want to retire, because the idea is to get here and I think set up residence really. And this guy I met last night told me, he said, to just enjoy the last act of your life, right? That's how he calls it. So it's been very nice. I think, there's a combination of factors that make it nice. I think a lot of people will say the cost of living makes it nice. I like that. I think the Cambodian people make it nice. The food and things that maybe you don't think of right off, not just cost of living or visa things, but just the day-to-day life here is very much of a slowdown for people. I think if you come from the West, you're used to this frantic speed of life, like you have to go, go, go. And a lot of retired people, they really don't retire. Like in America, they still have jobs because they just can't make it, So it's a different speed of life. And I think you get to where you want the slower pace,
Can you tell us the process a little bit on how you get to retire in Cambodia, the visa process, and
how I did it?
What other people should know?
Yeah,
They're thinking about retiring in Cambodia.
Well, I think there's a few things with it. First thing is, be sure you understand how retirement works in your home country, where you come from. Different countries have different laws about how to get your money. They have different laws about reporting income. That banks have different laws. some countries say you can't get the money unless you're a certain age. So for me, it was never an issue because I was always that age. But for people younger than 55, they have to be able to prove their income. So that means, some type of retirement or 401k or a retirement plan from a company. So just be aware it does change, depending on your age. But most of the people I know that retire here, it's the same process that I go through, right? It's like a once a year process. It takes maybe an hour. Your passport has to be surrendered. So there's no way to do it unless you're willing to give up your passport. And then from here, they send the passport back to Phnom Penh, to immigration. There's no immigration office in Siem Reap that'll do them. And that will take a week to 10 days, 5 days, whatever it takes. So that part of the process, I think, is painless. There's no real part that's difficult here, to do it. And I've never met a person, and this time in 3 years, it's been refused one. I've met people that were right at the age. I have a friend that came over that was right at 55. So if he had been 2 months earlier, he would have had to prove his income. But since he hit 55 and when we met in Mexico, and he came over here, he just came over, and got a retirement visa. So it's really, the word visa is really not true. It's really an extension of stay that they give. They don't have a real retirement visa. So, and it's a year process. Every year after a year goes by, you take it to an agent, or in my case, my daughter here does them, and you pay them a certain amount of money, and they send it off, and then 10 days later you get it back with a new full-page stamp in your passport filled out. And that's about it. They've never asked for proof of income, or there's rumors that people have told me that they will. They want you to show you make at least $1,500 a month. I've never seen that.
What is the pros and cons of retiring in Cambodia for you?
Well, I think on the pro side, it's the ease of doing it. I think many of the other countries, it's just not this easy. And a lot of people I meet say, I have a friend who lives in Thailand. He's had nothing but trouble lately with it. They want him to come in and every 6 months be interviewed or be asked, what are you doing? And, where are you going? Have you traveled out of the country, out of the city? And here, the pro is that they don't care. You just go as often as you want, wherever. My wife and I could go to Vietnam, and they just really don't care, for me or for her. And that can be a pro, And I think the other one is, they talk kind of about like the cost of living, but apartments and renting a home. Very easy, very painless. You don't have to fill out credit checks, or there's no waiting times. You just get the place that you want. And some of the places have no lease or contract. Some of them are a year, some 6 months. So that's all. That all really facilitates people just living here, getting a place to live. The con side, I don't know if it's really on the con side, is people expect this is going to be like paradise here, and it's really not. I think, there's the same stuff here as any place. There's poverty here. There's people that don't make the money that you make, that local people that get by. So the idea that it's just some paradise, or it's not really. it's the same problems here as in other countries. So I don't know if it's really a con. Is Khmer people are just different. They're just different people, you have to get used to the language, how people are. And if you come over and expect it's going to be like, I lived in Singapore. If you think it's going to be like Singapore is, it's never going to be like that. Singapore is just not like here, So things are different. So getting used to that difference can take a while, And then, there's some things that I think people come here and they have expectations of error-free life, like it's all going to be great. And I think 90% for me, and maybe because I have a Cambodian wife, it's all great. because she takes care of things that maybe other people have to have trouble over, you know. But when I first lived here, I was by myself, and I had no problems. I mean, my landlord just took care of things, you know. So there's not really a con to that, but it's like a difference, you know, to get used to.
How much do you spend a month?
Oh,
On average, if you can say that, but then
yeah.
you can skip.
Well, I don't spend much. My wife spends some. Yeah. I mean, as an example, we live outside of town, rural Siem Reap. We have a 3-bedroom house that costs $200 a month to live there. Very reasonable, but if you factor in the cost, because I don't do motos, if you factor in the cost of pass app or walking, because I do a lot of walking, then it costs a little more, you know, to get around. But I mean, a pass app, if you add that, it's sometimes 50 cents a day to go one way. Sometimes 4,000 real if you have a coupon on pass app, 6,000 if you don't. None of it means that you're going to spend a lot, but it just means that, you know, that cost is a little more. I mean, another cost is food, you know. So if you like just eating Cambodian food, they buy pretty cheap. But my wife, she just doesn't cook Cambodian food. She makes pork ribs and chicken and cooks American food and Western food a lot for me. So that kind of food costs more to get, you know, when you go to the market. And some things, you know, you have to go to like Anchor Market to get them. I mean, some things are what she calls luxury items, right? Yeah. Things you just can't get in the local market. So those cost more. So I would say if your budget is, say you have $700 a month that you want to spend. Maybe you make more, maybe you don't, I don't know. But you can live a pretty nice, pretty basic life on $700 a month and have, you know, like I have a friend that rents the place for $150 a month. And he makes $800 a month. And he says, I always have, at the end of the month, I always have money left over, $50, $100 left over. Yeah. So, you know, the other expenses that are a sliding scale are like power here, you know, like we're kind of spoiled with AC. So we use AC a lot. So we pay, you know, like we pay some months $60 a month for power, some months more, some months less. And, you know, then the other expenses are water and trash. Water's a couple of dollars. Trash is about 50 cents, you know. So none of those are expensive. Internet, you know, depends on what you want. Most Cambodian people just have phones. You know, I have a laptop and a phone, so I want Wi-Fi. But you can get good cell plans for $6 a month, and it's basically unlimited, you know. So if you tally everything up and you think, well, I do want to eat out once in a while, you know, I want to go out and have a nice dinner or go have a few beers or whatever, you know, you're probably going to spend, I always budgeted $600 a month. But I never spent all that on food. It was always, I would eat like street food along the river, or I'd go to a really nice restaurant. So maybe I spend $1,000 a month for myself, and maybe now we spend more, because my wife has things that she likes to do. I think when you reach that point, you can have a really good life. Like I did this check one time on Google. I just said, how much for a really nice life in Cambodia? How much would it cost? And it said $2,000 a month, and you'd have a wonderful life. You know, you'd have the best apartment, and you'd have the best food, and you could go out all you want and go travel. And that's what it said. Yeah. But when you factor in that most Cambodian people make 10% of that, they make about $200 a month. You know, it's a different scale of life, you know? Yeah. So
this question actually is from a friend of mine yesterday. So I mentioned that I'm going to interview you and other retirees here in Cambodia. So he said that he's wondering what the retirees here do every day. What is their daily life like? So,
yeah. That's interesting. I mean, people always think that you have to have something to do. Mm-hmm. For me, I had something to do for so long working in IT. I always had something to do. I did it for 30 years. I had something to do every day, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I was so glad when I got done to have nothing to do. Mm-hmm. So I remember I was in Japan when I first left, and I was sitting in a Starbucks, and I thought, well, what do I do next? You know, what do I do? And I just figured out this is why there's nothing I have to do, right? And now, I mean, my wife tells me my job is to walk and drink coffee every day. So that's what I do. It's interesting here, our neighborhood is all Cambodian people, but they're very early risers. So people will get up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't know why that is. I mean, if it were just me, that's not when I would wake up. My wife will get up at 5, and she likes to go next door and talk with neighbors over tea. So they have her over. I usually watch a little news or watch something on YouTube or listen to music in the room for a couple hours. Then, usually around 8 o'clock, I decide I want to go to a local coffee shop, have some coffee, and then I'll go out for a walk. So between usually 8 until noon every day, I'm gone. So I'm out walking, I'm drinking coffee, I'm taking photos of things, whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
So at noon I get back, I really only eat one meal a day. Lost a lot of weight doing that. So my wife will cook a big meal like a turi for me. That's my meal. And after that, it's like what I did in the morning, except sometimes I go out for beer at night. And so really it's like a lot of nothing. And there's no real schedule to it. Like some days I think, I want to go downtown for coffee. So I'll go to Noi Coffee along the river for coffee. And some days I think, no, I want to go somewhere else for coffee. And coffee shops are a big deal to me here. There's just such a variety of coffee shops to visit, like this place. So I want to do this thing on this day, but when the day comes, I don't do that thing. Yeah, I just do something else or nothing. One of the nice things in Cambodia is where the country's located.
Yeah.
It's like right in the middle of Southeast Asia. This way is Malaysia, that way is Vietnam. If you want to just go, and I did that for years, it's easy to go here, There's no real block on going here. You can just go. If we wanted, we could go when we wanted to go. But I'm really interested more on seeing Cambodia because there's places I still haven't been here, So her thing is trying to take me to places I haven't been to. But then there's the places in Asia, Southeast Asia, she hasn't been that I've been. And she sees the photos of them and she's like, oh, honey, I really, I want to go there. I want to go see that. So we do a bit of that.
What is retiring in Cambodia versus retiring back home?
Well, back home, I think I would have barely been able to live back home on what I make. I mean, especially in California, right?
Yeah.
So in California, if you consider that an apartment will be, say, $2,000 a month, that's a lot of money when you're retired. And if you look around at them, a lot. I mean, I'm a little fortunate in what I make, but that would be, 2/3 of my money would be gone just on an apartment. Then what about food and, utilities? And so retiring there I just felt like it could never happen. It was impossible to retire there and live, have any kind of a life, So I knew that it would be here. Because I'd lived in Singapore before I retired working. And Singapore's not a good example because it's very expensive. But I also traveled to Korea and went to Vietnam a few times to work. And when I saw the prices in Vietnam, I thought, oh my gosh, like a bowl of soup is $1, a sandwich is 75 cents, and I thought that can be the place. And then Cambodia became the place where it was actually easier because of the visa. So the United States never was an option for me to retire. I just couldn't see how it would work. So it was always to leave. I mean, and I also looked at Central America, I looked at Panama, I looked at Portugal. So a lot of places that offer visa retirement things that you can do. And they all have different rates. Like there's different things you have to do to get them. Here, really, I mean, there's really nothing I had to do. Like in Panama, you have to do XYZ to get it. But once you get it, then the government says, well, you get discounts on food and you only have to make $1,000 a month to live here and show it, like on retirement letters or Social Security. So in the United States, what would I do? I mean, I would probably go to like a Burger King and play cribbage all day or barely eat and have no social life. Couldn't go anywhere, do anything because all my money's gone. So that was never a thing for me. I just thought, life's supposed to be, when you retire, life's supposed to be more, You're supposed to be able to do the things you couldn't do when you worked. But there it's impossible. So this just never was serious to me about staying.
Any reason why you choose to retire in Siem Reap versus Phnom Penh?
Yeah, I mean, I think the size in Phnom Penh, I really like the city. But the size got me, and how busy, it's always so busy. And the traffic. And here, there's just, Siem Reap did a bunch of work here on infrastructure. Sidewalks all around. You can walk from downtown out to Angkor Wat and be on a sidewalk the entire way, on a nice sidewalk. So they just made it more accessible for people, that might want to walk or ride a bike. And I think the other thing is the tourism thing here, right? One of the side effects of tourism is that many, many more people speak English in Siem Reap. So it's really, the restaurants and the social life really take a positive hit from tourism because tourists love to eat and they want to drink and they want to go see things. And maybe that's some of the same things retirees want to do, right? They want to go eat and drink and see things. So I think those were all led up to this city being, I don't know, like the big choice, right? Because I go to where my wife, her province, and no one speaks English at all. Yeah. So it's interesting and kind of humorous, but it would be difficult not speaking hardly any Cambodian to get by in her province versus here where it's just like a pretty easy life, if you don't. And it was, I think, all of those things, and I thought it's going to be a good cost of living for what I make here. And since my wife does all the grocery shopping and stuff, I don't know those prices of what she pays for food or shopping. So I think it was all those things kind of combined that made me think Siem Reap's the place.